love your shirt, by the way, representing.
First time wearing this beautiful new shirt.
So I've got to ask, jumping to something like from City of Trees to first doing the TV show, but then jumping head on into First Step, does it feel the same? Is it different? Is it bigger stakes? I mean, if you look at your producer list, it's a whole nother ballgame. You've got Disney on there, you've got the Arquettes. I mean, I know they've come in later, but it feels like a whole nother step in a career that could be massive for you.
Yeah, it felt like a big evolution. I think Lance, my producer, my brother, did a really good job from the funding and executive producer side, really building those relationships, nurturing them, but also kind of protecting me and the film crew in a way. I mean, all of our executive producers are amazing, but I think the way it felt big to me wasn't necessarily on that front. It was just as far as what was in front of the camera. Telling a story about somebody as influential and smart and dynamic as Van Jones, capturing a story in the halls of the Senate and the House, getting access to these really influential people and places, building relationships with activists in South Central Los Angeles, in West Virginia. It was the scale of the film was just so massive. Van's ambitions and his team's ambitions to, pass this piece of legislation, to organize across the aisle, to free tens of thousands of people from prison. It just took us from, building a relationship with Kim Kardashian to Jared Kushner to Cory Booker to activists in LA. And it was just a massive undertaking that had really complicated, not just creative and technical challenges, but ethical challenges, really making sure, when you're including all of these different voices from these different points of view, I didn't want to just gloss over them. I didn't want to just, throw people into the film because it was, the cool thing to do or would help the movie. I wanted to build a relationship. I wanted to make sure I understood their perspective, what they stood for, whether it was in alignment with Van and his team or in opposition at times. And that process of just researching, building the trust, and then being there for the moments unfolding took a long time, took a lot of work. You've seen the movie, so you can see this was not an interview-based film. This was not a moment happened and then we followed up with an interview. We were there embedded in these people's lives for 3 years. And then there was the 2-year edit, which was taking 400 hours and
another beast unto itself.
Yeah.
When I was talking to Lance about this, he talked about it didn't feel like you're making a movie. It felt like you were helping a cause, a movement. And I think that's where the title is so beautiful, because obviously Van's idea is so widespread and so massive, and it's what he once wanted to do and has accomplished in taking those steps now. How early did you realize this is bigger than what me just following a guy, me just following a movement? I mean, when did you know it was going to be something massive?
Really from the start. I mean, When we started filming the movie, the bill did not exist. The First Step Act did not exist. The West Virginia LA coalition that the movie follows did not exist. None of the storylines existed. All that existed was Van and his team having a thesis of bridge building, as they were basically setting out on a quest to work across the aisle to try to help people incarcerated and people who are addicted. And it was 2016. It was an incredibly divisive moment. Not that, now things, I feel like 2016 was, light divisiveness compared to where we are now, but the stakes were incredibly high. Trump had just gotten elected, and I was and still am really scared about the direction that the country's moving in. People consider political people that are across the aisle as enemies, as threats to their own lives, and in many cases justifiably so. And that that direction was only spiraling further away from each other. And that was really scary to me. And I felt like we had an opportunity to document and tell a story that could show the public an example of what bridge building looks like in action. Not to try to say what Van and his team are doing is exactly the way to build bridges, and this is the exact model, but that seeing bridge building in action and the power of cinema, the power of film, is that it provides it provides a document of a moment in time, and let the public engage with it, let them wrestle with it, let them criticize it, let them love what's happening in front of the screen, but at least have a conversation about it, because not talking about how we're going to build bridges and work together is basically a recipe for us just living in a completely divided America. And the people that suffer the most are the people who are at the bottom, the people who are in prisons, the people who are addicted, the people who are in poverty. And so, I hope that the film can contribute to a movement of unpacking some of these really difficult questions about why we are so divided as a country that need to happen.
Oxford kicks off a very important line of festivals and brings, I think, with the vision to even a closer, more intimate look with who are moderating for you, who will be at these events. Can you talk about this series of stops you have and how this very much is a beautiful, bringing together of what you guys were hoping to accomplish, and having people moderate like we did the other night that know exactly the importance of this bill and what it's done for their lives and what it's done for future generations of people that will be impacted by it.
Absolutely. Oxford is the first stop of our 2022 Impact Tour, which is happening in states all across the country. We're going to be screening the films we're going to be screening the film starting on Monday at a state prison. The screening that we just had yesterday was moderated by a chaplain who was a recipient of the First Step Act. He was serving a 20-plus year sentence and had his sentence dramatically cut short as a result of this bill that our film follows. So, this is a story that we wanted to tell. What does it look like behind the scenes to fight for and advocate and actually pass legislation that impacts people's lives? The film, there's only a few minutes of the film that actually takes place in prisons, but the movie is about a fight to help people get out of prison. And so, we always had it as our ambition for this film that it had to play inside of prisons. It had to play inside state houses where legislation was being debated and discussed that could get thousands of more people out of prison. The federal prison population is only about 10% of people incarcerated. The First Step Act only was a federal bill. There's a lot of statewide pieces of legislation that would replicate or enhance a lot of the measures that pass in that legislation. So, this is our time. We've been partnering with a lot of people that are impacted by the criminal justice system. They've been, sitting with us on stage. Some of them have been in the film, but some of them are not in the film and just have been impacted by the legislation. And we're hoping that the film can lead to a lot more awareness around this issue. We're hoping the film can lead to more bipartisan action. Sometimes people forget really quickly what it looks like when they came together. And so by showing a film, there's a piece of legislation, the Equal Act, that is right now a federal bill that would dramatically get a lot of people out of prison. And, there's some senators that are on the fence about supporting the bill that did support the First Step Act. So, not just at that level, but down to Congress people, you want to remind them, look, you guys voted for this piece of legislation. This is the impact that it's had on people's lives. This is what it looked like in that moment in time when people came together and the impact it had on people's lives. You can do this again. And it's not just criminal justice reform. I'm hoping that people in the climate change space can see the film, people working on gun control. There's a lot of issues that are being gridlocked when there are common ground solutions to these issues. And so if the film can just loosen the knot a little bit, I'll feel like we at least did something to try to advance these causes.
after leaving your film, it's difficult not to want to talk about it.
Yeah.
To talk about, I think what you're getting at, discussion. I want to hear what you think about this or what I think about this and debate that. How did you see that was the connection, getting people just to talk? Because I think that's the underlining beauty of what Van's team wanted to do, but also what you've showcased. If you guys stop arguing and just talk about the sides, you can solve puzzles that could change things. And I think your film does that, and it does it in a very subtle way just by showing people having conversations and having moments of kind of realization.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just thinking about something else. I just had a brain drift. When we started the film, before we picked up a camera, Lance and I sat down with Van and we said, to your point, exactly what you're saying. Look, you're all about dialogue. You're all about working across the aisle. You're all about other different people's views and opinions. If we're going to make this film and you're going to spend the next 4 years trying to engage with Republicans and engage the Trump administration, there's going to be a lot of people that do not support what you're doing. And this is before the bill existed. And we have to tell the story in a really honest way. And we have to include the perspective of people who have different views than yourself. That has to be highlighted. And it can't be done in a really cheap way where it's just, a blip, and we need to really try to understand that point of view. And so we made the film really intentionally in a way that we spent time with people that were working on the bill and people opposing the bill and tried to humanize and empathize and connect with their point of view, because we wanted to create a filmmaking experience for the audience where you can, no matter what your view is, there are some people that I'm sure will watch the film and hate it, but I've sat in audiences with people that love Donald Trump, that love, the Republican Party, or proud Republicans that have stood up and said, "I'm a Republican, I love this movie," and this is how I changed my perspective during the film. And I've had people, many people have seen the film who cringe when they see Donald Trump and Jared Kushner walk out of the theater. And so the idea was to put people through an experience that might not be easy, but would allow them to feel trusted, that their point of view is represented in the film fairly and fully, and they might see some things that make them a little uncomfortable, but maybe it gives them a little bit more empathy to break the ice a little bit so they can have that conversation. So that's the movie is it's like we actually applied to an experimental film festival, and I had to write a little letter. We didn't wind up getting in, but I had to write a letter about why we thought the film was experimental. And it was important to me. I really wanted to play in this festival because to me the movie is an experiment. It's an experiment in, can you create a piece of cinema that audiences from different a political film that people from different political backgrounds can watch, trust, and walk out of the theater and feel like they have to wrestle with something, but they also trust. And I think there's not that many good examples out there of that kind of tug of war. That
you guys have traveled with this all over the country. I mean, you're one of the most well-traveled films I've ever seen. How has it been for you as a filmmaker to see so many different audiences just get to the experience of experiencing what you're trying to showcase? It's got to be fulfilling that so many different types of cities and communities are coming together, whether they're viewing it from a political point of view or just someone who may not even understand what's going on, and now they know.
Yeah, it's been amazing. These, especially festivals like Oxford, like Tallgrass in Wichita, like Hot Springs, Arkansas. I mean, I've seen there's I think in the past year, I've now been to 12 new states that I'd never been to. And regional film festivals, as you know, are, one of the most loving, supportive, places resources to lift a film into the world. The filmmakers that attend them, it's not a competitive bone in anyone's body. Everyone's just there because everyone put years of their lives, blood, sweat, and tears into these projects. The filmmakers are there to there's a little bit of that patting each other on the back. We made it, we got through it, which you kind of need after you go through a 5-year journey like what we went through. I mean, this movie nearly broke me emotionally, spiritually, physically. I pushed myself way beyond anything I thought I could, and now this is the beautiful part. This is the celebration. And we were watching yesterday, and there was I was right in front of me. There was this woman who was in the theater, and she was gasping and had to hold her friend's hand at different points. She was so frustrated. But then I saw in another moment a tear come down her eyes, and she was crying. And it's that's you spend 5 years of your life trying to build a 90-minute narrative that can have resonance, in these spaces, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a performance art, and you get to sit. I actually watched the whole movie last night and got to just take in the audience's reaction, and it was a really beautiful experience. I'm really proud of the film. I feel like we tried to do something really bold, and that's why it took 5 years. And when you see audiences get frustrated and emotional and having really tough conversations when they're leaving the theater, that means it's doing something. Something in their consciousness is changing, and that's all you can hope for as a filmmaker.
I know this film may have broken you, but please don't allow it to stop you in doing what you're doing.
Hey.
I'm curious if you could share. I know you're in the throes of continuing this journey, but have you thought to the next story, the next idea? Have things, I'm guessing because of the great conversations you're having with people, has the next idea popped into you about what you would like to showcase or cover or extend this story even further?
Yeah. The thing that I'm working on right now is very early stages of writing a romantic drama that would be scripted, not a documentary, a narrative feature film. And I myself just love stories. That's all I watch. I actually don't watch that many political. I've made 2 political social documentaries. I've loved the journey of making these films. I believe in them to my core. But what I consume, what I watch, is really love stories. And I've just feel like I have a lot to say about relationships, and I think there's an intimacy to a story revolving around 2 people falling in love that you can explore similar themes to what we explored in this film. It's not so I think a lot of the same themes are coming up for me, but in the context of 2 characters' experience with one another. So it's been really fun to documentaries, you write the story in the edit. So you have 400 hours of footage, and it's so intense because you have a whole team working through the footage. So it's a lot of money. There's a lot of people breathing down your neck. You're stuck with the footage you have. What's so liberating about narrative, about scripted films, is you get to write it on paper, and you can write something and tear it down, and the stakes are a little bit lower. And I've always wanted to be a narrative filmmaker. That's why I went to film school. That's what I've always wanted to do. 12 years ago, I didn't do that because I felt like I didn't know enough about the world to write my own script and direct a fiction film. And now, after 12 years of making docs, I finally feel like I've learned a lot about the way people are, the way cultures are, the way I am. And last thing I'll just say is it's going to be more personal story, a story based on some personal experiences. I've made 2 films where I've cared a lot about the issues, and I have personal reasons for getting involved in telling the story, but they're not based around experiences I personally have had, and so it's really exciting to tell a story that is really close to home.
Can't wait to see what you do with it. I'd love to end with, if you don't mind, with that knowledge now open. What is your favorite love story, romantic film, or filmmaker who's created something that you just adore in that field? Because, yeah, I'd love to know more about that. Not to put you on the spot.
No, it's good. Oh my God, I've seen so many. I'm just trying to think about what one to say. I mean, I love the film Days of Heaven. It's one of my favorite films by Terrence Malick.
Yeah. We're from Texas, so yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the films that really inspired me to want to be a filmmaker. Just seeing these characters, all deeply flawed, caught in these like emotions, societal injustices, and just making these really heartbreaking choices, but no one is a hero, no one is a villain, and seeing that love triangle play out just crushes me. I really love the film Call Me by Your Name, which is beautiful love story. It's not really a love story, but Kelly Reichardt's film First Cow is it's a story about friendship, and there is definitely a love and intimacy between those two characters. I just rewatched that recently, and I love that. I love the Duplass brothers films and series. I just watched Togetherness. I'd never seen their series, which is beautiful, and I've just and then I've just been eating up romantic comedies too, from Chasing Amy to I can't list them all, but I think I'm a romantic myself. I spend a lot of time with my friends and family talking about relationships, talking about love. I'm really fascinated with how it's played out in people in my family's lives. I'll sit and talk with my grandmother for hours about her relationship with my grandfather, and I'm really fascinated in older couples in particular. I was just visiting with my great aunt and great uncle, and my aunt, she actually just passed, but she had terminal cancer, and I was seeing the way they were handling as a couple this end of life, this looming end of life, and just seeing the way they were preparing for that, having been married their whole lives together. And it's just it just takes everything in your core, witnessing love at the end of life. So as somebody who's 35 who doesn't have a partner, it's I'm fascinated by seeing relationships that are really beautiful and healthy and messy and all the above.
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm a fan of the Kramer brothers, so keep doing whatever you want to do. We'll be there for you, and thank you for this chat. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm a recent fan of yours. Lance has been talking about you guys for a while, and so thank you for taking the time to talk.